Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advance. This game was played in the FIDE Swiss 2025 and this is from round 5. With the white pieces we have Arjun Erigaisi and he has been playing spectacular chess. He's facing a very strong English Grandmaster. His name is Nikita Vitiugov and sorry about the pronunciation, but hey, this game is going to be absolutely amazing. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here, knight to f3 by Arjun. Arjun starts with the ready opening. We have d5, c4 and just e6. Here is the Agincourt defense. G3, knight to f6, bishop to g2 and bishop to e7. Castles, d4 now, just going for the center, and this is basically now Catalan opening the close system. And now we have d captures, knight to e5, very nicely played. And yeah, this is the way, because this is the Catalan bishop and you have to understand that that bishop is now very strong. And that's why, I mean, if you're able to trade the Catalan bishop, normally it's said that the opposition is going to be absolutely amazing and you can gain a lot of advantage. So here just knight to c6 comes, and in this position normally you could go for a move like knight to c3, and after knight captures, d captures, knight to d7, maybe an f4 push because that pawn was a little bit weak, and rook to b8. But now just knight to e4, and that knight is a wonderful piece there. And somewhere along the line, maybe you're just going to capture this. And what black will try to do is basically get the bishop out, maybe just challenge your very nice Catalan bishop, and somewhere along the line the game goes on. Let's see what will happen, but still both players would have very nice chances in this position. But here after knight to c6, something not that very much seen in these kinds of setup, because here Arjun goes for bishop captures on c6. He sacrifices the Catalan bishop, and now we have actually just going for this b captures, but he will get sufficient compensation because now comes knight captures on c6, and here just queen to e8, knight captures on e7 and queen captures. So you must be thinking your light squares are going to be very weak. Why can't I just go here and actually challenge your light squares and get the queen into the game and checkmate you? Well, for starters, just queen to a4 by Arjun, because now you don't have that much. Here e5 was played by Nikita, and here in this position just d captures. We have queen captures on e5 and just rook to e1 and queen to c5. So yes, you can get the bishop there, and somewhere along the line you might have enough compensation. But here Arjun is now ready for development, and he goes for bishop to e3, attacking the queen. He's not going to rest until your queen has gone to a bad square and going to develop all the pieces, and he's going to keep himself on the toes because he loves chaotic positions, and he's going to keep his opponent on his toes as well. Here queen to h5 now, but just comes f3, not allowing this bishop to become a problem anytime soon. And here just queen to e5, but just bishop to f2, attacking the bishop. Queen caps on b2. Arjun sacrifices the pawn deliberately because he wants to go for a very particular line in this position. He goes for knight to a3, and now in this position you have to be very careful. Do you give up this pawn or not? Here in this position bishop to d7 was played, attacking the queen, and Arjun says, well, thank you very much for the very nice pawn, because he goes for knight captures on c4. Yes, you can capture this, but I capture this, and that comes with a tempo on your bishop, so you're gonna have to move it. But in this position here, Nikita goes for a very nice move. He thinks that maybe this is going to be enough compensation as well, and he goes for queen captures on a1, sacrificing an entire queen, because your queen is under attack. You cannot capture because the knight will capture, and you can capture, not really. So here after queen to a3, but now just comes this queen captures on e1, sacrificing the queen for the two rooks. And normally it would be very nice. It would be very nice until unless you were playing against Arjun Erigaisi, which you are. So that's why it's not nice. Here just bishop caps on e1, but now just comes bishop to b5, and it might seem like if you move the knight out of the way then you're losing the pawn. But here just queen to c5, a very nice move. Here rook a to b8, just defending the bishop, and you cannot capture this. If you capture this, then you have to understand the other rook joins in the party, and yeah, you lose a piece. So basically you don't have to do that. Here bishop to c3, but now just comes this rook f to e8, knight to e3, and now just bishop captures. So you've lost a pawn, but your pieces are decently coordinated. How can you actually improve the position of them, and how can you actually make your queen a little bit free, because she has to defend everything and she cannot do everything for you. Come on. Here we have king to f2 now, very nicely defending against and also threatening to actually just pick up the bishop. But in this position you have to be a little bit careful. Where do you move the bishop? I mean, it looks like the bishop doesn't have that many squares, because if you go for bishop to a6, maybe you give a bit too much, because you're just going to be giving me a pawn. Next I'm going to be threatening that. So you have to be a little bit careful in this position. So what do you actually do? So I'm going to ask you to pause the video. Now just get your best defensive suits ready, get your armor ready, because here Arjun is coming for you, and find the best move which gives you the best drawing chances in this position. So have it. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is actually bishop to d3. The idea being that once bishop caps on f6 is played, g captures, just ruining the pawn structure, and now coming in with the knight. Unfortunately, you cannot go for a move like knight to g4 because it just completely blunders the game and you just get checkmated because rook check, king moves, and this would be unfortunate checkmate after the queen blocks. So that is in the position and you have to be careful about such tactics. So here, not knight to g4, then what in this position? If you go for a move like queen to c3, it makes sense because you're also attacking the bishop and the pawn. So here, once rook b to d8, now defending against, you cannot go here. Unfortunately, it just blunders the game. But here, after queen captures on f6, now you go bishop to g6, defending everything. And yes, also, also just giving this check, and once the king moves, king goes back, now you're just going to be picking up that, so that threat is also in the position. So you cannot go for something drastic here. You cannot just just move the knight out of the way, maybe just have some checkmating ideas, because it just does not exist in this position right about now, because otherwise you just get checkmated. So you have to be a little bit careful here. And yes, most likely you're going to have amazing drawing chances here with these moves. But after king to f2, not all of this can be found without the assistance of an engine, or if you're just analyzing the game for hours and hours on end, at least you need an evaluation bar. It even took me about roughly I think 3 to 4 minutes, because I had an evaluation bar. So basically in this position, what the move that the move that is supposed to be played is actually was played by Nikita, was rook to b5, and rook to b5 unfortunately just completely blunders the game. It's equal or a little bit equal than the same move that I told you about, bishop to a6, because you just lose a pawn, and this does as well, because here rook to b5 and Arjun spots it quickly. He goes for queen captures on e7. So you just give me a pawn, but what is your compensation? And I think you don't have one. Here bishop to d3 was played, now finally going for that, but it's a bit too late now, because now just comes bishop caps on f6, now g captures and queen to d4, attacking the bishop. If you can go for a check here, but again, you can actually not go for a check here, by the way. The trouble is you cannot even go for this check here in this position. Your bishop is also hanging. You have to be a little bit careful here. Bishop to g6 was played, just defending everything. But unfortunately, there's a very nice move in this position, which is knight to d5. And now you have to understand that fork is coming. And that's not just a fork. Once the king moves, there's going to be lead to a lot of mating net ideas. And you have to be a little bit careful here. Rook to a8 now, just trying to go for that. But unfortunately, it's just a blunder, because now just comes knight captures on f6. We have king to f8 only move. And yeah, there is no fork here hitting right now, but it will be here, just a4. And a4 is a beautiful inclusion here in this position, because now rook b to a5, and just a very beautiful move, very beautiful move in this position, knight to d5. Knight moves simply because of the fact that you cannot capture here. If you capture here, then unfortunately this is checkmate, so because knight is covering this, and you have to be very careful against such tactics. So here in this position, rook captures on d5 was played, only idea. But now you have to again actually find the winning move, because now, is it queen captures here or something else? Because the winning move in this position is not actually queen captures. If you go for queen captures, now comes rook caps on a4, and there could be some drawing chances here. It wins, but you have to really grind it out, because there's a pass pawn. You most likely going to lose it, because if you play g4 now in this position, king to g7, queen to e5, checking moves, and yes, you can grab it, but once the bishop blocks, there could be some ideas of actually trying to create a fortress in this position, because king needs to move forward. You're going to push all those pawns, and yes, the bishop has moved from its square, trying to defend and create a triangle type of position where you're controlling the dark squares, bishop is controlling the light squares, rook can control and defend. But the problem with this kind of position is maybe you just find a fortress and you won't even realize it, and somewhere along the line, even after having a queen, king and the pawns are not enough, and maybe hopefully you win, but yeah, it's a long shot. But here in this position, you don't have to go for it, because there is queen to h8 check, and that's exactly what Arjun plays, because now after the king moves, we have queen captures on a8, and after rook to d2 check, king moves, and now rook to d3 check. There is nothing in this position, because that pass pawn is the reason why you cannot actually now create a fortress, because you have to stop it and you have to worry about it. So here king to e2, rook to a3, but now just queen to c6 was played, just defending the pass pawn as well. Rook to a8 check, king to d1 was played, and it was on this move, on just move 37, that Nikita Vitiugov resigned the game, and yeah, Arjun got this spectacular victory. He's now maybe even close to or at par with Paramaksudlu, who's actually leading 4.5 out of 5, and it's going to be a little bit of a problem, but let's see what the pairings are for the next round. And Arjun has been playing spectacular chess. Let's see if he's able to push all the way through and get the victory. It's a long tournament, there are still 6 more rounds, so anything can happen, but still Arjun has been showing absolute class here, and this game is a perfect example of it. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all for watching.